Good Monday morning, mamas. We're so glad to be back with you for today's Monday Mom Minute. I'm Heather Sullivan with Leila Photography, serving moms in the greater Waco area as a maternity, newborn, and childhood photographer, but also super passionate about finding local resources for you mamas and just sharing so that you have all those tools. So today I'm so excited. We have Aubrey Smith with us, and she is a doctor of physical therapy, but she specializes in pelvic health. And I think we are going to touch on a topic today that I think is one of those things we don't really talk about. But it's important.
People like to avoid it. It's the avoided areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is something, we already talked about how YouTube might censor us.
Yes, they might.
Because
They might.
we're going to be talking about,
we
things.
promise it's not scandalous.
But, when I met you, I was so excited because I was like, oh, this is something that we need more information on. Moms need to know. Moms need to know what resources are there. Yeah. And then moms need to know kind of that they're not alone, that they're not isolated in experiences, because we don't chit chat about this usually with our friends. Yeah. Like, this is not a conversation we have all the time. So just tell us physically, like, what you do. Like, give us the summary of what you do.
My lowdown, a little bit of that. So main things that we work with as pelvic health specialists or pelvic floor therapists or whatever you want to call us is pretty much everything between the belly button and the knee.
Yeah.
That's the area. We're talking bowel, bladder, sexual function, diastasis, recti, all of those things that are daily functions of life for the most part. And so it's little things like maybe every time you feel like you need to pee, you have to run.
Yeah.
And when you run, you get to the door and then you get a little leak and you're like, why is this happening? And those are like my bread and butter. People come in and I understand that and I can ask them questions and kind of explore more. And they're like, oh, I was really stressed out that day, or, oh, the grocery store was overwhelming, and that triggered my urgency. And so it's not even just that there's something wrong muscularly. Okay. So we talk through this history. Sometimes it is muscularly. Maybe they've got some tightness in their pelvic floor muscles, and that's what sent them down that urge area. And we'll get into more examples here in a minute. But the gist of it is that this area houses your organs. Yeah. It houses your bowels, and we all know gut health and how important that is to daily life. Gut health, we've got our coffee. Little plug there. But how important that is for absorbing nutrients and growth and development and breastfeeding. And if we don't replenish ourselves and have the physical capacities to jump and run and play with our kids and get up and down from the ground because we're afraid our bladder's going to fall out. Right. Or we're afraid that we're going to get an upset stomach or abdominals are going to bulge out and we're going to have back pain. Those things. That's kind of a large spectrum of things that I work with, but they're all important. Yeah. And each individual person will say, I just thought this was a part of being a mom. Yeah. It's a part of life. I'm 30 now. Like so many people are like, I turned 30, I turned 40, and this just happened. And there's so many things you can get on top of and take care of this area and just understand what's going on. Your nervous system really needs help and assistance sometimes because we go at such a quick, fast pace level that really, if we kind of slow down and think about our bodies, we don't feel connected at all. And so reestablishing a connection or learning for the first time that you're connected to your body is what I like to do and help people with. And it just so happens to help with things that we do daily.
Yeah. And that's one is a woman thing. It's a female thing. So I think that's important. But it is also, like you say, I thought it was because I was a mom. And I think we know that labor often impacts, right?
100% labor. I got to go to a delivery Friday. I was going to tell you about that. It was a special circumstance. I was just a birth support, not doing anything fancy, but it was the first delivery I'd been a part of other than my own, which it was amazing. And I got to she would let me watch, which was really cool. And the pelvic floor, oh my goodness, just the stretching that occurs and she did a beautiful job pushing and everything just relaxed the way it should. And that's, I've gotten to work with a lot of patients recently who are pregnant and they come in and they're like, okay, so what does my pelvic floor need to be able to do? And we talk through, okay, this is how it should respond to labor. This is how it should this is how you should push. This is how you should do those things. And so it's almost like a training, and you can train your body during pregnancy to know what to do and how to do it.
Oh, that's amazing.
And this mom looked at me and she goes, I knew how to push because you taught me how to use my abdominals. And I was like, amazing, because she thought she was coming for pelvic floor. And I was like, we're going to use your abdominals. And she was like, I just didn't know how heavily they were integrated. And I was like, they're literally integrated. I know we think like abdominal, pelvic floor. Yeah. But really your pubic bone is just right there, and they connect fascially, and they're all interconnected. And it's amazing because when you use one, you should use the other, and vice versa. It's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. And just getting to be at a birth is like one of the most amazing
so
things
cool.
ever.
I was like,
I'm not a birth
awesome.
photographer, and I refer out most of the time, but the few births that I have gone to and I have photographed, I leave with just this whole new awe and amazement at just the power of mamas. You have really kind of shared through some of the things that we wanted to talk about, and you talked about like your word right now being peace. So what does that mean to you? Like what?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go into my mom, my motherhood a little bit. So fast forward if you don't want to hear about my children. I tend to talk about them a lot.
Yeah, we all do.
So I have a 4.5-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. And when I was pregnant with my first, I was doing this. I'm in the pelvic floor world. I've been in it for a while now. And so I thought I knew all the things, right?
Yes.
Pelvic floor wise, it just like went fabulously. Like pregnancy, pelvic floor is great. And then delivery, I was able to do it the way I wanted to do it without any issues. Pushing went quickly. Like it was just this beautiful thing. And then my husband ended up getting accepted at Baylor for a PhD program, which was, we were exciting, but we lived in Little Rock at the time.
Wow.
Arkansas. Right. And we didn't know he was going to need to take summer classes. So my oldest was born in March and we moved in June. And so we were like trying to find housing. We didn't know anything about Waco. I had never spent the night in Texas until I moved here.
And you got a brand new baby.
We had never seen the place that we rented. It was like, just like I found it on Zillow. By the way, it's beautiful and it worked out and we still live there, which was amazing. But it was just this whole thing. And I started to get sick a lot. Like only on the weekends though. Which, right, you don't just only get sick on the weekends. That's not a thing. Usually you have to miss work some. I was working about 3 days a week, and I was driving to Harker Heights for the job that I was at then. And it was only on the weekends. I'd just get really sick. And I would be like, what is wrong? Like, why is this happening? And it accumulated when he was about 2. We traveled for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thanksgiving, we got a stomach virus. Thanks, airport. And then Christmas, it was happening again. And I was just like, something's not right. And we were driving home from Tennessee, which is where most of our family is. And I was in so much abdominal pain that I was like, something has got to be wrong with me, right? And so we took our son to one of our friends' house. We drove straight into town and we went to the urgent care and they did a CT scan and gave me some pain medicine. And they were like, nothing is wrong. And I said, something is wrong. It's just nothing that you're going to treat or do anything for. Right. And at that point, I was like, my nervous system was so just sensitive. Anything, any extra thing, if my son whined too much or wanted another snack, dadgummit. Yeah. He just wanted another snack. My system would just it was getting tenser and tenser and tenser. And for me, that accumulated
was translating into
GI distress, basically.
Wow.
And so from that day on, I started doing yoga, doing meditations, and really realizing that that was so important because I now had this constant being that I was in charge of, and he was running around and he was beautiful and amazing, and he's such a good kid, but my body wasn't responding well to that. It was like, what is this? And so I'm at that point with my second. He just started walking now, and I'm just like, okay, I have to reestablish my intentionality. I need to focus on my breathing. If you just slow down and really take that inhale and look around and use your senses to look at things and smell things and, absorb those moments, get grounded, then your physical body can do more. Then maybe you can start using your core in a way that reestablishes strength. But when you're in that upregulated, everything's chaos and crazy, your body is in this fight or flight mode. So peace right now for me is getting out of that fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And I'll look around my house and be like, there are toys everywhere. But right now, I need to calm my system. So that'll look like me sitting down with my older son, and he likes to play this little Cars video game, and we'll play that for a minute, and like just watching him play that refills my cup. You know, you've heard that analogy before. And so at work, that's what I get to do for people. They'll come in and they'll say, today was crazy. And I'm like, okay. You're here now. You're here now, and you can let yourself go. You can let yourself feel the feelings that you need to feel and be at rest. Yeah. And so my office is super cozy. There's lights all around the ceiling, like Christmas lights. And I just turn off those fluorescent lights. I have a lamp. I have some little lavender towelettes. Like, I just want people to know that they can let themselves feel at peace.
That's amazing.
And we'll do meditations and different grounding techniques. And there's some physical actions, like there's something called tree hugs that you do on your arms, and joint compressions and breathing, but just finding the space and time to do that before we get into the strengthening and the reestablishing of their physical selves as strong and all of those things. That's kind of where my focus is with my moms. It's just so important because we just can't seem to find the time for ourselves. And I teach them how important it is to find that time.
And what I'm hearing,
and how to
like,
find it.
when you came, not only were you dealing with a young baby, but you were, the word that comes up so often is you were very isolated because you were in a brand new place. You didn't have your support system. You didn't have all your friends and all the things. And so I could easily see how that quickly could translate to your physical. That's amazing. Well, you guys, and so first of all, or not first of all, we're past we're in. We are in the groove at this point. But you, I really think you've given us an amazing foundation of knowing how you serve moms. How do moms find you? That's what we need to know.
Perfect. So I work at Compleo. Compleo Health and Wellness. We are off of Woodway Drive. I always stay right by Nightlight Donuts. That's that's my
that might be
on my way
thing,
home, which could be a problem, but I use it as a nice thing most of the time. So we're right there. You can find us on Instagram at Compleo or Compleo Kids, or CompleoWaco.com if you're into websites. That's where I'm at. I work with a bunch of other providers, and it's a beautiful family-like environment. I've never felt so at home. Working in a place with friends and people who you can collaborate with. It's amazing.
Well, and as we've had Kelsey on, we've had Lauren on, we know
my family.
That it is a family, but we also know that, the team up there is able to serve moms and families because of how it's a connected team and have all those resources together. So that's amazing. And I'll definitely pop those websites and things on the video. But thank you. And if you guys really, did you just hear this conversation? You are like, oh my gosh, I need to know Aubrey. It's just like, I'm feeling more at peace just after having a conversation. So I definitely can see how a mom would be immediately comfortable with you, but I definitely think that how you serve moms is so important. And thank you for coming in and having a hard conversation. We don't want to talk about our pelvic floors. We don't want to tell someone that we are I'm peeing myself. Like, those are embarrassing, hard things, but we don't have to be alone, and there is help. And I think that's important.
There's a safe place for you to talk about those things.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. And I thank you for coming. And so, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and like us on Instagram, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.